Reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisleys have offered perspectives of their feelings on government charges of bank extortion and charge avoidance. Reality TV stars Todd and Julie Chrisleys, who are in jail after being indicted on government charges of bank extortion and charge avoidance, are challenging angles of their feelings and sentences in a government requests court. The Chrisleys rose to notoriety with their appear, Chrisleys Knows Best, which chronicled the misuses of their tight-knit family. But prosecutors said they locked in an broad bank extortion conspire and stowed away their profit from assessed specialists, whereas displaying their excessive way of life. Diminished Tarantino, and bookkeeper they enlisted, moreover is serving time in jail. He needs his conviction tossed out and to be allowed an unused trial. Attorneys for all three, as well as government prosecutors, are set to seem for contentions sometime recently, the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Requests in Atlanta on Friday. The Chrisleys at first were charged in admirable 2019. In June 2022, a jury found them blameworthy of planning to dupe community banks out of more than $30 million in false credits. They too were found blameworthy of assess avoidance and contriving to swindle the IRS, and Julie Chrisleys was sentenced of wire extortion and obstacle of equity. Todd Chrisleys, 56, is housed at a leased security government jail camp in Pensacola, Florida, with a discharge date in October 2032, whereas Julie Chrisleys, 51, is at an office in Lexington, Kentucky, with a discharge date in July 2028, agreeing to the Government Bureau of Jail site. Tarantino, 61, was found blameworthy of trick to swindle the joined-together states and willfully recording untrue assess returns. He is being held in a leased security government jail camp in Montgomery, Alabama, with a discharge date in September of another year. Prosecutors have said the Chrisleys submitted fake archives to banks and overseen to secure more than $30 million in false credits. Once that conspire fell separated, they walked away from their obligation to reimburse the advances when Todd Chrisleys pronounced insolvency. Whereas in insolvency, they begun their reality appear and flaunted their riches and way of life to the American public, and after that covered up the millions they made from the appear from the IRS, prosecutors said. Attorneys for the Chrisleys fight that an IRS officer lied on the stand around the couple owing taxes for a long time when she knew no charges were due, which prosecutors intentionally displayed and fizzled to adjust that untrue declaration. They moreover contend the trial judge was off base to permit certain proof without requiring prosecutors to appear it wasn't gotten amid an illegal look. And they say prosecutors fizzled to supply sufficient proof to convict the Chrisleys of assess avoidance and scheme, appearing as it were that they used a common amusement industry hone to get acting pay. They moreover contend prosecutors fizzled to create any proof that Julie Chrisleys taken an interest in bank extortion. They say the judge failed by requesting compensation and relinquishment of resources. Todd Chrisleys ought to be cleared on the charge avoidance and trick counts and given a modern trial on the remaining checks, his legal counselors contend. On the other hand, the requests court ought to send the case back to the trial court to hold a hearing on his claims that the IRS officer lied and proof was despicably conceded. Julie Chrisleys ought to be cleared on the 5 bank extortion charges her legal counselors contend. They moreover say her sentence on the remaining charges, counting $17.2 million in compensation that she and her spouse were requested to pay, ought to be wiped absent, and she ought to be resentenced on those tallies. Prosecutors contend there was adequate proof at trial to back the charges and jury decisions, which the proof was appropriately gotten and conceded. They said the judge was right to deny an evidentiary hearing or modern trial on the Chrisleys' declarations that the IRS operator lied, saying the specialist testified to the best of her memory. An attorney for Tarantino contended in a recording with the requests court that his client was hurt by being attempted with the Chrisleys, and he encouraged the court to invert Tarantino's conviction and return his case to the lower court for an unused trial. Whereas Tarantino did certain things that finished up encouraging the Chrisleys' false conduct, there was no proof he did anything in intention to encourage that conduct. Attendance finished up befuddled and one-sided, which caused them to convict all three defendants on all checks they confronted, his attorney composed. Prosecutors say there was considerable proof illustrating Tarantino's individual association, and he can't illustrate genuine, compelling proof that he was hurt by being attempted in conjunction with the Chrisleys.